Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Deacon Board podcast. It is Wednesday night. We're going to talk about Don't Knock the Hustle. It's all about entrepreneurs, investors, inventors, and hustlers. Hustlers in the good way, not the illegal way. We don't want no street pharmaceutical sales representatives taking any of our ideas and running back saying that the Deacon Board endorsed them, because we did not do that. Also tonight, something happened that will probably never happen again. This is basically the SHAWN Show. I have Dr. Sean Best from New York City. I have Sean Hall from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I have Sean Cunningham from Charlotte, North Carolina. So I have a bunch of Sean's here and a Dante, which I don't know how that happened, but it did. So, of course, they're all saying that the Sean's are smart. That's why, I picked them all to come on tonight to talk about this particular topic. It could be true. Could be true.
You've been immensely blessed.
Having
the three Sean's. That's all.
The Lord is kind, as we say. The Lord is kind. They know Sean Cunningham already. He's been on before. They know he is an entrepreneur. They know he is a mortgage loan officer. They know he is a manager of people in real estate. I'm going to give him a chance to introduce himself again afterwards. But Sean Hall, ladies first, introduce yourself, what you do, the name of your company, if you will.
All right. Thank you first for having me on. I am the Sean Hall. I am the founder and owner of All Roads Education. We are an education consulting company. And so what we do is we help families and their children go to college as debt-free as possible. Yeah. Some people say, well, listen, I don't need to hire somebody to do this for me. And so what I'll ask you is ask your child's guidance counselor if they went to college and got 3 degrees for free. If not, you need to come and see me, because that's exactly what I've done. I'm taking the skill set and using it so that parents can save money and put that cash flow back into their pockets and build generational wealth.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Sean Best, doctor, and he's a earned doctorate. He's not one of those 1999. I got a doctorate in some non-denominational church. It's not even in religion, even though he's saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. It is not a doctorate in and there's nothing wrong with having a real earned doctorate in religious study or theology. Right. Some of y'all jokers got doctorates in paper. Okay, I don't know what they are, but I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Y'all can get mad, but Sean, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Sound like you got somebody in mind. But that's a great introduction. The Sean Hall, amazing what you're doing. I'm Sean Best, and I am born in Newburgh, New York, and raised in Middletown, New York. So holla back, up top, as they call it.
That's right.
But definitely, been living in New York City for 20 years now. My company is actually called the ARC Group, and we are focused on, it stands for Architects for Restorative Communities. And the idea is that we're an organizational leadership effectiveness firm, consulting firm. So we help companies all the way from nonprofits, school districts, all the way through Fortune 500, Fortune 100, Fortune 50 top companies with leadership strategy, leadership development, diversity and inclusion training, personal coaching, executive coaching. I'm getting certified through Columbia, and I also work a 9-to-5 job where I run a program that is for Black and Latino men at the CUNY system in New York City, called the CUNY Black Male Initiative. So shout out to CUNY BMI, our salute. So we have thousands of students across all 5 boroughs that we support and mentoring and academic supports along the way. So excited to be with you, Dante, man. So proud of you, what you're doing, and looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Also, Sean's my cousin, but it is what it is. Cunningham, go ahead, man.
Yo, it's good to be amongst an amazing, esteemed group. Much respect to what you do, Sister Hall, Brother Best. It is amazing to be around people who are just doing good things. And it's always good to see Black people in different venues and in different, disciplines. That's a beautiful thing. So I'm in real estate. I am in mortgage. I am in finance. I am owner and operator of Wisdom Consulting Group. I've been owner of that for about 15 years. We do financial consulting. We actually do real estate consulting. We also do diversity consulting. We actually tell people how to really be diverse, as opposed to just putting some Black people or put some people of color into a position and say, okay, we diverse. Diversity is, moving ideas around, different backgrounds, different cultures, and understanding what that actually means without paying it lip service. And also listening to those people that you put in those positions, because there's no point having somebody there at a seat at the table, but they're not really getting to eat and dine, and you're not taking the wisdom that they show. So Brother Dante, is always an honor to be here with you. Much respect for you. I've known Dante for 5 years now, and it has been a complete pleasure. I see him as my brother and not as a colleague anymore. I mean, he's just a good dude who I learn from daily. We have the most heated, respectful business argument because it's always coming from a place of respect. And then we argue like dogs, and then we go get something to eat, and we come up with a plan of action. So it's good to have that kind of respect between individuals. So good to be here with the family.
Yeah, it's sort of like that Joe Clark scene with Robert Guillaume and Lean on Me when they were cursing each other out. If you're gonna kowtow, you're gonna respect me because I am the head nigga. You know, it's kind of like that. Now let's go get something to eat.
Exactly.
It's almost an everyday occurrence. Used to be anyway. So listen, tonight it's all about being what can we do to help our community come out on top. We are natural born hustlers. We are natural born inventors. We are natural born investors. We have our last guest coming in right here. Our last guest is coming in right here. I didn't know if he was going to make it on time, but the other doctor, my co-host, Dr. James Hassel.
Welcome. Yo, what up, y'all?
Welcome to the SHAWN Show. We got Sean Best, Sean Hall, and Sean Cunningham here.
Well, you can change my name. I'll be Sean Hassel.
You're going to be Sean Hassel tonight? We got a bunch of Seans here. So we're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about how to gain wealth. Our community can gain wealth. We're talking about how Black people, as a culture, we are natural born hustlers. We hustle. We are natural born inventors. We've taken slop and made it some of the best food in the world. We've taken, my grandfather, I remember both of my grandfathers telling me how they were building things. They were building houses. They were renovating houses back in the day, doing walls, doing paneling, putting up sheetrock, things of that nature on their own, So to the people that are on with us right now, to Sean Hall is helping parents figure out this college education, this college financing maze, how to get scholarships. And I see her online every day hustling. Hey, it is scholarship season. If you haven't talked to anyone about scholarships right now, you need to call me. If your guidance counselor hasn't talked to you about scholarships, you need to call me. To Sean Best, who is helping Black men through the city of New York educational system, which is huge. Listen, we have a lot of Black men in higher education, but I don't know how many Black men after they matriculate out of college reach back down to help. And I think it's huge. And I want him to explain a little bit further about what his company does. And even with Cunningham down here in real estate, he is about putting people in affordable housing, and affordable housing from a mortgage and owning standpoint, so you can build generational wealth. It's important to build generational wealth. Renting is fine because everyone can't be a homeowner, but those that can, they should be able to get that mortgage that they want, and that's what Cunningham is doing. And then, of course, my brother, Dr. James Hassel, my co-host, if you will, he has had a CDC for as long as I can remember. The last 25 years, you've been running a CDC, a community development program, not only at Beulah but also at Kingdom, helping out the community, with strategies of building wealth for job placement, things of that nature. So, let's just get into it. I want to start with Dr. Best. I got a couple of with Dr. Best. Your program with ARC and what you're doing with City of New York educational system. How does that work? How do you find the men, the young brothers, the young Latino brothers, because there are brothers also, to mentor?
Yeah, well, so first of all, the program is really housed in the City University of New York, which is a large conglomerate of schools across the 5 boroughs of New York City. So similar to a SUNY system, you have a bunch of different campuses around the 5 boroughs. And so, we typically start with just the students who are admitted to the school. And we just basically reach out to them the first day, actually when they first get admitted and they decide to come to school, we send out an invitation to them to come join us. We give them a little a parlay, a little appetizer of the services we provide, and then we just say, hey, come join us no matter what your GPA is, no matter what year you're in. So sometimes students join in their second semester of their senior year, but we know that once they join our community, when they get that mentorship, that academic enhancement, and that sort of social emotional development in the family environment, they're going to be better off than they were without us. And so we consistently have seen over the years them outperform in GPAs and retention rates and graduation rates in our program compared to Black and Latino men who are not in our system as well. We also expand to reach a lot of students who are they're pre-college. Maybe they took time off. Maybe they were formerly incarcerated. Maybe they just never finished high school. So we have a few pre-college programs in the Bronx, Brooklyn, all the boroughs to really help support the students to be able to get the resources and tools they need to pass their HSC equivalency exams, their GEDs, get those, and then get into the CUNY system and then get connected to a BMI program. Also, we have medical school at City College and also the law school at CUNY Law, where we have a robust mentoring program to help students get connected from day one to either get ready for the LSAT or once they're in law school to get mentorship support while they're there. So our target demographic is kind of built in because we see a lot of Black and Latino male students go to CUNY generally. And then on top of that, we build partnerships with community-based organizations that might support these kids before they get to college. So we have the relationship with them already. They know what we do, and they can kind of come in and just be brought into the fold. So we have a lot of big partnerships with My Brother's Keeper and Eagle Academy and a bunch of other programs that do similar work. And so, we try to do some financial literacy stuff with them as well. But, we try to look for programs like the one that SHAWN Hall has to really help expose them to money management tools and all sorts of different things. So that social-emotional programming piece is the part where they get some sort of skill for life every week through their program. It might be a chat and chew over talking about study skills or financial literacy or, some sort of time management skill or whatever. But that's how we build in our audience, and it's a pretty robust one.
So that's good. That's good. Now, SHAWN Hall, since SHAWN mentioned this, your organization, because it feel, and I didn't know this. Well, I knew it, but I didn't know. But there's some synergies there that I'm sure you two will connect after we get off this call. But tell me about your organization and the students that you're trying to help at this time.
Absolutely. So this organization was really birthed out of me thinking, what do I have in my hand? I am a woman of faith. I'm a disciple of Christ. So I take the Bible literally. And when I'm thinking, what can I do? People have a tendency to look at other folks and see what they're doing and want that too, instead of running towards what they're good at. So I've always been a talker. I always got in trouble for talking a lot. I always got in trouble for influencing people. And I could write well because my mother made me turn off the TV and go be creative. Like if she said that one time, she said it a billion times. And the very thing that people chastise me for is the thing that's making me money, that I'm getting paid to do. And I decided I'm helping people find out about college, and I'm doing it for free because they would run up on me and say, hey, in college, didn't you go to Bennett for free? Yes, I did. How? My mother taught here. I did the math. I figured out we were already broke. So college is your one time that you want to be broke so you can get all of the money, legit. That was a good thing. Got undergrad paid for, turn around, looked to get my master's. There was GW University, the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. They were looking for special ed candidates. And I thought, okay, is the degree free? Yes, it is. $40,000 education, got that paid for. I worked a job with Department of Defense. They were looking for you to have a proficiency in business. And they said, if you get a degree off of this, you will have it paid for. I said, well, wait a minute, hold up. How do I get the degree for free? It was about what school you chose. So yeah, you had American. Yes, you had George Washington and Georgetown. I picked Southeastern University because I could get in and get out with no money. And that's the thing that I take back to students to say, it's not about the school. Some people get really hung up on, I want to go to Spelman. I want to go to Morehouse, you and everybody else. I want to go to Howard, the Mecca. Everybody else does too. And you can get in. I'm never impressed about students getting in. I'm impressed on whether or not you get it paid for. And so what I tell parents, what's the dream? Is the dream going to college or going to a specific college? Because there is a difference. And then what's your resources? If you're coming to me in senior year, you're late. You are late.
Say that again. Say that again for the people in the back.
In the back. If you're coming to me senior year, which I'm going to keep it real, 85% of my clients are seniors.
Wow.
They're seniors. We're not talking about necessarily low income. We're talking about double income. We're talking about professionals because the system has kind of been rigged. When you look at when they want you to take the ACT and SAT, they tell you to take it second semester of your junior year. No,
Right.
that doesn't give you enough time. It doesn't give you enough exposure. So when you're going into your senior year, it's all guns blazing. Parents are stressed, kids are stressed. And by the time they call me this time of the year, like I'm one of those geeky people. This is the Super Bowl of scholarships. Like we in it to win it. It's all guns all time. We going for broke. You're calling me now, it's going to cost you. When you tell me my counselor is helping me, let me tell all parents, your counselor's job is not to plot out your student's path. That's your job. That's your job. I don't care if you're at a private school, public school, it's still your job. I have 4 daughters. My oldest is 24. She paid, it was $100,000 for 4 years. I think she got away with it for like $15,000. My middle daughter is on a full ride scholarship. She was offered 2 scholarships, one at $132,000, the other at $106,000, and putting $40,000 in her pocket. I've got a junior coming up, and then my 9-year-old. We're not playing any games. And what I tell them, the money that you're able to earn while you're in college, it can pay for your house. Going to what Sean Cunningham is talking about, I tell parents every day, get you a piece of land, right? Where your child is going to live. Drop a duplex on that camp, because anytime you have college students, they need housing. And now you put your kid in there, they're the landlord, and these other 3 kids that are living in here, or 4 kids, they're paying your mortgage. And now I have gifted you something tangible that can build generational wealth. So you're not coming to me just talking about scholarships. You're getting life lessons and how that scholarship can really set you up for life.
You said a lot. You said a lot, but everything you said is
girl.
absolutely on point. But this is why hysterical. But this is why I invited everyone here. Sean Cunningham. I can't just say Sean. I'm sorry. I forgot. This is the SHAWN Show. Cunningham. So flowing to what Bess and Hall said, go ahead. Talk about yourself. Talk about.
I got first of all, respect to both of you. I love listening to both of you. I love listening to other people because I just learned some things just sitting here listening to you two. Sister Hall, one of the things I want to say is I have seen your stuff in action. I had a friend in college when I was at A&T, so I was down the street from you, who was at UNCG. Her father bought a house for her. She started a daycare while she was in school, and she did a 3rd shift daycare. That 3rd shift daycare, all she had to do was let the kids sleep. I see you with the allegedly.
This allegedly is about Sean being at A&T. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'm done with you. She ran that daycare 3rd shift. So basically, the kids were asleep while she was asleep, but she also had 2 roommates in the other room who paid the mortgage. So when she got out of school, she was debt free and had a house. Her dad sold that house, gave her the money. She bought a new house when she graduated. So I appreciate what you're talking about. One thing I want to say about entrepreneurship that I've seen so much lately in the last couple of years, you guys might not have seen this, but if you have, I want you to speak on this. There is nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur. I see so many people when I'm looking on social media, it's all about being an entrepreneur and, during the pandemic, take your stimulus check and get started LLC and do this and do that. Not everybody's made to be an entrepreneur. Some people are, some people aren't. But it's amazing how we pitted each other against each other. Like if you got a 9-to-5, that's a problem. If you got an entrepreneur, you got your own business, that's a problem. You can do both because most entrepreneurs I know have a 9-to-5 or some stream of working income. So for insurance and benefits and all that stuff, because being an entrepreneur, insurance ain't cheap at all unless you're in some kind of network. So you need to understand that. Now, to what I really want to say is that we need to set ourselves up for generational wealth. The first thing that I loved is when Sister was talking about how, you're going to college free. That's a part of where we start generational debt because so many people don't know how to get into a place where they're going to school without any debt. And then the next thing we talk about is destroying the wealth we have. How do we do that? You die, you have no will. You die, you have no insurance. You die, you have no investments. So now you got, like Brother Dante talked about at the very beginning, but when we was, behind the scenes talking, now you got to sell that house to pay for the debts that your parents had, or you got to do a GoFundMe, or you got to do a bake sale. That's not about you. So your grandfather had this land that now you only got 10 acres out of the 100 he has because you keep selling every time somebody dies because nobody has no insurance. See, I've been blessed to have a Series 63 and have an insurance license and have a mortgage license and all these wonderful things. None of that means nothing if I'm not applying that knowledge. You look at it, Michael Jackson, Prince, All these guys with multi-million dollars dying without a will. You got DMX got 15 kids arguing over his estate because we didn't set that up. What you do is you set that up in the beginning. So I've already told my niece when I die, she can have my house. But there's also life insurance to pay this house off for her so she doesn't have to worry about it. But also I have life insurance for my son, so he'll have his own, he can build his own wealth. When my nephews graduated from college and they was like, Uncle, I want to go and get this apartment. I said, no, stay with your parents for a year, bank some money. I'm gonna show you how to get a house. And so, when my brother went through a divorce, he came and stayed with me for a little while, paid off some debt, bought another house. I have a nephew that's bought a house. I put a sister in a house. I put a brother in a house. I got a niece I'm about to put into a house because it's about building all types of investments, whether that's your job and you're doing a 401k, whether that's entrepreneurship and you're putting money into a SEP or you're putting money into an IRA, whether that's having some life insurance. All of those are financial, whether you're doing Bitcoin or Dogecoin, all of that is investments. It starts with having $1,000 in the bank for an emergency fund, but then you also want to make sure that you have some money in the money market. You also want to have some money in some kind of index fund. I know I'm talking about a lot of different things, but your portfolio has to be deferred. It has to be diverse. But the biggest thing you need to start with is what my sister talked about, is getting rid of a lot of debt. What my brother talked about, being prepared for school, being prepared for law school, being prepared for the bar. You have to prepare for these things. What's the point of going to law school if then you can't pass the bar? Right. And then you got $6,000 in debt from going to law school because, like the sister said, it's not about going to school. It's about where you go. You have to look at all those things. You might want to go to Duke, but down the street is North Carolina Central. Duke is 40-something thousand. North Carolina Central is 8,000. So Carolina's 12,000. Wake Forest is 40-something thousand. So figure out where you're going so that it makes sense, so that you're not draining all your parents' money. Get some scholarships, but understand everything part of wealth is all part of understanding having some wealth now and building some wealth and then having some wealth in the future for your kids. Right. But the one thing I really want to tell you on that, talk to people about life insurance. Whether you do a whole life, term life, universal, whatever you do, have something so that whatever you built in your life is not gone the moment you die. That's where your legacy begins.
Yeah, I think we do, talking about life insurance, I see it over and over again where, I read a study where most wealth and a lot of wealth that was passed down by generations was passed down based on life insurance policies. Yes, the stock market is great. Yes, having land is great, but they also had life insurance policies because it doesn't cost a lot of money to have $1 million worth of life insurance on someone. Everyone here should have a key man life insurance policy. I know, Hassel, you have to have one for your organization. I'm going to let you talk in a minute. Bess, you have to. I know you have one. Sean, I know you have both. I keep saying so. The Shawns, I know y'all have them because you run organizations, and it doesn't cost a lot to have life insurance policies, whether it's whole or term, but leave enough for your people to not only take care of your burial, but set them up right. Sean Hall, go ahead, because you were itching. I see you itching.
Yeah, let the sister come in. But Sister Hall, make sure you explain for Sister Hall, make sure you explain what key man insurance is, because if you are the key person in your organization and you die, your organization dies. So explain that, because Mr. Dante, he's so smart. He know these things. You got to make sure you cover the audience too.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. So
I want Sean to speak to that because you're already in that space, and I want to stay in my lane. I want you to talk about that.
My bad.
I'm sorry. A key man policy is for any founder of an organization, anyone that is the key brain behind the organization. There should be a policy on that person. So if they die, if they become disabled, there's money coming to that organization. There's money coming to that person. There's money coming to that person's family. There is a succession plan in place also if something happens to that key man to keep your legacy in that organization going. That's what a key man policy is. So I'm going to ask my brother, James, and you've been quiet. This is the longest you've ever been quiet. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and
I'm just, y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I know your internet is bad.
No, yeah, I'm on the island of Dominican Republic on Hispaniola, and I'm trapped here because of the storm in New York, but it's a great place. It's the worst place in the world to be trapped during a storm. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So, but you guys are brilliant, and it's really, really an honor to be on here talking with you guys and listening, because like Cunningham said, I'm learning a lot just from listening to you guys. I mean, I've been out of school a long time and finished my theology degrees, but those don't count anywhere outside of the church.
That's not true, but go ahead.
No, I'm really joking. I'm going to say a couple jokes before I say anything serious. But also, all we do at church is pray and ask God to bless us, that we don't do anything else to empower the people.
Really? You gonna do that tonight? Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm joking about all of that. One of the things when we founded our church, our three key values was, 100% homeowners, 100% debt free, and 100% tithers. And I think that those three principles drive how we interact with the people in the middle of those 6 projects that my church is planted in the middle of, and the two methadone clinics, and the homeless shelter in the basement. We're in the middle of a highly distressed community, and we're not poverty pimps. We're there to empower people one at a time and get them out of there. I probably have had 50 to 80 people enrolled in master's programs in my church every year, that they're just pushing. And now I have a stock of professionals, many social workers, teachers, lawyers, and nurses and professors that were on welfare when they came to the church.
You're building your community.
Well,
you're building a community, but it is the kingdom community, because now you have those resources in house. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's important. I mean, it's important to reiterate that.
It's the only way to do it if you're going to grow people and their families. And so we have a program called Empower You that we partnered with several not-for-profits to strengthen families through teaching about healthy relationships, financial literacy, job development, of course, and then there was a fourth component. The Dominican heirs got me a little off right now, but
you know what? Say that one more time. Say it one more time. The Sean didn't say a word because he's Sean's in Sean Best is in Mexico right now, so he ain't saying nothing too much.
Nothing. I ain't saying
it's not the air. It's not the air. But anyhow, healthy relationships, financial literacy, job development, and I'm trying to remember the fourth component. But we try to use all 4 legs to strengthen individuals. So maybe 400 or 500 families a year would come through the programs, and we would kind of help them to get some understanding so that they can plan out their futures. And and again, it's kind of micro systems that help to lift people, and that's the role we play. I mean, of course, I'm like most people. I'm worth more dead than alive.
I am too.
But that was a decision we made. That when I'm gone, at least my family will be able to kind of stand on the shoulders of what we've set up for them, my children. But then empowering my children in their area of gifting and in the areas of their expertise, so that they can build wealth using the umbrella that I'm giving them, so they're not worried about certain things while they're building their careers. Is another way that I'm helping. That's just a philosophy. The rest is I pray. I just pray.
And so I think what's important, and I learned this from you. One of the things that we have to stop doing as a community, I think this is just me, and this is a little off what everyone else is saying, but we have a tendency that the day you graduate from high school is the day you need to get out to a parent's house. And it's just craziness that in our community that we do that. And we see it. I see it on, we see it on social media all the time, and we see the comments that people are making about it. And, we see now with not only with the pandemic, but even with the last financial crash that happened, a lot of people went back to living at home again, really establishing those, quote unquote, nuclear families, if you will, where it was, yes, parents and then children and their spouses and their children, all living under one roof, pretty much trying to build some wealth and save money so they can buy property and, save money so they can, get a little bit ahead. What are your thoughts around that piece that, I kind of see as I don't want to call it a cultural thing, but sometimes it maybe some of our parents' generation, some of them felt that way. Some of them felt that, once you graduate high school, you got to figure it out, whether even when they go to college, a lot of kids go to college and they don't have a support system. So how do we combat that to help our?
I think that it has to be intentional. And we're not coddling our kids, but there has to be fruit from that time of covering. And so
right.
why are we doing it? Of course, we want them to be able to save. We want them to be able to plan their families and also to stay connected. They need emotional support. Really, American children, they don't mature at 18 anymore. 30 is the new 18. As they're saying, there's a failure to thrive, just because of the way they're being educated and stuff. And so I think our children need covering a little longer, and it's good for their mental health.
Right.
For me, I needed that. It was a lack of resources. And when I say resources, not only did we grow up in my house, we grew up poor, but there was no financial literacy taught. There was no, this is how you pay bills. There was no, this is how you finance a car. There was no, this is how you get an apartment. None of those things were taught to me. So when and I'm a smart dude, but I went in the Marine Corps because I didn't have a plan. When I first left school, I went in the Marine Corps because I didn't have a plan. Then I took the SACT later, and all these schools was throwing money at me because I'm smart. But because there was no pattern of somebody going to college in front of me, that's what I did. And then, when I got out in the real world after leaving the Marine Corps, I was homeless.
He didn't see that. He didn't see that piece. You said you were smart. I put up allegedly. So, I just,
I hit you with the allegedly a lot.
I didn't have a plan, and I didn't know how to do things. So I wasn't self-sufficient. So I never balanced a checkbook. So, I got an apartment, didn't pay rent on time, had the electricity cut off, had the water cut off, got evicted, had a car repossessed.
Yeah.
Now those were wonderful life lessons for me, but who wants their child to go through those things? So now, I got a niece living with me who pays no bill, because when she came to me, she was getting her PhD. So I was like, hey, that's your job. You get this PhD. She finished her boards, got her PhD. Now she's working. Now I'm like, when you get out of my house, you're going to buy a house. I don't need no money from you. You save that money, you get you a house.
Yeah.
I told my nephew to do that. He went back with his parents. He bought a house when he graduated from college.
Wow.
I think it is cultural, because you see, so many other communities where it'll be 4 families in a house. And they'll stay there and they'll build wealth, and they'll start a store. And when you go into that store, it's 4 of them from that same family working in that store. So that they're building wealth in the store, and they're saving wealth by all living in those communities. And I think it's because our kids have gone through so much trauma, they want to get out of the house. And we haven't taught them anything. So we need to make sure that we're equipping them emotionally, mentally, physically, financially, to be prepared to go out on the house. So I think a lot of stuff Brother Hassel is doing is amazing on that. And Brother Best, what you're setting up, sets people up for success. So when they do go out of the house. So no, Dante, it falls right in line with what we're talking about. You're not going off on a tangent.
Yeah, it's just, I have a huge concern, because I see those of us in our 40s, still struggling with the stuff that we learned from our parents, and we're trying to figure it out, and then we're trying to make sure that we leave a better legacy for our children, our families, than maybe what our parents, even if our parents are still here, we see some of them even struggling with the age that they're at right now, right. Coming out of the work, because they're starting to age out of I hate to say this, but they're starting to age out of the workforce. So, what do they do? Because Social Security is not going to cut it. So are they going to have to work until their, investments, a lot of them lost 401ks back in
right.
the .com phases of life. We weren't really working at that point, well, let me see. Sean may have been working. I'm not saying which one, but one of the Shawns may have been working in the late 90s. But you know, it is.
I felt that dart. I felt that dart. Thank you.
You felt that dart. Okay, you felt that dart. But so it's important that, you know, we teach, we teach, or I shouldn't say teach, we impart the knowledge that we've gained to this generation coming up. I love seeing my nieces and nephews buying homes. I have, you know, a couple of nephews that bought homes. A couple of are in the process of buying homes. Get ready to close in a couple of days on a home. And I love seeing them do that. I love seeing them setting themselves up for success. But they learned that from watching the people around them. And I don't think we share enough information. Like Shawn said, we weren't taught how to balance a checkbook. We weren't taught the meaning of good credit and why we have to have good credit. We weren't taught that if somebody's telling you to give them $1,000 and they're going to return it, you know, you're going to get $5,000 in 3 days, that it's a damn scam. Like, stop it. Not one person that came to me last year trying to get me to give $1,200, $2,300, $3,000 is a millionaire right now. It just didn't work.
No.
It didn't work. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work. Now, we have to teach people that susus are actually real when it's done correctly, though. Not a blessing loom, but a susu, a community susu is very real. They've been practicing it forever. But you have to have people in the susu that you can trust, that you know they're going to do what they're going to do. Again, it's about the hustle. This is the hustle of go ahead, Shawn.
Real quick story. I was just I saw one of my cousins. You probably know Dante. I won't say who it is, but basically follow suit with that scam we were all seeing on Instagram, where you give me $3,000 and turn it into whatever. And so I told my cousin, I'm like, do you know this is a scam? And she was like, yeah, I figured it out kind of too late, but lost $1,000, whatever. I'm like, oh no. And so I'm like, give me the guy's information. So I get the guy's information, and I'm like, hey, so it's only $3,000 to get in. I said, can I put in more? And the guy was like, yeah, how much? I was like, how about like 30,000? He was like, yeah, really? Oh man, that sounds great. Let's do it. Send me your information. I said, what about 40,000? And I just kept going up and up. And then finally the guy was just like, okay, all right, you found me out. I know it's not real, but you don't have to keep messing around with me. And it was so crazy. And I'm just like, if we can just expose these people, but at the end of the day, people often don't want to, it's scary for someone, especially if you don't come from means or wealth, to say, I'm going to take thousands of my dollars and put it on the side in order to create long-term, investment. It's hard when, I remember when I first got into Bitcoin and it hit up to 50,000, and then Bitcoin all of a sudden dropped in 1 or 2 months down to 35,000. And it was terrifying because I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I lost a lot of money. But you play the long game, and then obviously last week it went back up to 67,000, right? And it was going its way. So that long game is really tough for us to figure out, especially if you're from a Black community where wealth, giving thousands of dollars and making investments on that was not a common thing. So these conversations are so important for us to have for so many reasons. Obviously, that's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know a lot of people that are investing in coins right now. A lot of people, did the dog coin. A lot of people are in Shiba and making money off the Shiba coin right now. I would say, look, I'm not a licensed investor. I'm not licensed.
You say Shiba?
Shiba, not Chiba. Shiba, SHIBA, not Chiba. Nut. But do your own research. Do your own research and only invest what you can potentially afford to lose. Do not invest your rent. Do not invest your mortgage. Do not invest your car. Do not invest your light bill. Invest only what you can afford to lose and still be okay to take care of yourself. And then as you make money, put the money back in it. And by the way, it's the same thing with your 401ks. It's the same thing on, just buying stocks. I know everybody's a stock expert. I swear to you, I got off a Clubhouse because I got tired of listening to all the subject matter experts on everything. Everybody's an expert in real estate, and they never sold anything. They've never underwritten anything. They've never looked at a prospectus. They've never done, but they're an expert. Everybody's an expert on finance. Everyone's a millionaire. Everyone's it drove me crazy. I'm like, and now, now you have all these copycat places where come and invest with me, come in and do this. I get at least 10 friend requests a day from Forex traders, which is, I'm like, well, how the hell y'all find me? How y'all find me? First of all, how you find me? And it's just, everybody want to mine for, if it's that lucrative, why are you coming to little old me? Because I have nothing to do with it. I'm just saying, but do your homework and teach people the right thing to do. I'm involved in real estate in the mortgage business, so I understand the importance of home ownership for some. It's not for everybody, but for some, if you desire to be a homeowner, you should do that. You should buy a home that's affordable for you. You should buy a home that you plan on living in for a few years. And then, the other important thing is buying a home in the right area where you're going to have some appreciation, where you're not going to have, high crime, and then you won't be able to resell your home if you have to get out of there. It's so buying a home is important. Buying the right home is even more important to me. And there are thousands of programs out there to help people of color to purchase homes. I don't care where you go. I'm not recommending not one of them. I don't care who watches it. Y'all can go back and tell whatever you want to tell them. I don't care.
But let me say this, D, that I think that buying even in a bad neighborhood at the right price is a good investment.
I was going to get to that.
Because I bought 7 units before I was 26. Correct. It was at the right price, motivated seller, and I was able to make a nice living, and my kids watch that. That's why my children are homeowners and doing the things that they're doing, because they saw it happen.
Correct.
And let me piggyback off of that, if I can.
Go ahead, Ms. Hall.
I think one of the things that happens too is we allow the man to dictate to us what's good and what's bad. So living here in Charlotte, when I first moved here in 2005, West Boulevard was like the Wild Wild West. It still is to some degree, but if you look around, it's changing. If you go right there to Johnson C. Smith University, you have to do a double check. Like,
oh my God. I was up there last week and I was like, yo, what happened up here?
Because what happened is this. Some people came up, they offered money for grandma and grandpa's house. People came up.
Is that white people? Is that white people?
It is. It's white people. Okay, let's just go on. It's white people. Okay? White people came up. They said, look at here. This house, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give you 100, 150,000. Your grandma and them ain't paid but 30 or 40. The house is paid off. You looking like that's a whole lot of money because you ain't never had none. You sell it. They raise the house, R-A-Z-E, and then they raise it, R-A-I-S-E, and they also have equity coming in. We don't understand that there are a lot of hustles going on at the same time. There's hustles going on with your land. So there are people out here who look just like us. I'm going to say it because this is what I feel. There are people out here conning people out of their houses. Goodness well that house is worth more than 60 or 70, but you see it in disrepair. The people can't afford it, or you come and you buy it up off of taxes because they're behind. You're a vulture. You're a culture vulture. That's how I see it. And so now you scoop up, you buy, and you're able to move on. And these same people that we're talking about lifting, where they left, because you can't rent in the city of Charlotte making $12 an hour. It's not going to happen.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. I don't know if you can rent really anywhere making $12 an hour, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on something real quick that Brother Hassel said, Dante, just for a second. He said, other than the age of 26, he bought, a 7-unit property. And then his kids saw him, so they end up becoming, homeowners as well. That goes back to your question a little while ago about, do we have a problem when we kick our kids out at 18? One of the things that breeds success in your children is seeing what you do. Right. If you go to a doctor's house and there's a magazine about medicine on the desk, the children are going to pick that magazine up one day and they just bored and they look at that. And then you and 3 of your friends sitting around a dinner table playing spades, but you're talking about, I took out a gallbladder yesterday, or I sutured, a blood vessel the other day, or I did A, B, C, D, F, G. That child may not have thought about being a doctor, but that's what they saw, so that's what they became. When you see, we know that the generational poverty cycle is, my great-grandmother was on welfare, so my grandmother was on welfare, so my mother was on welfare, so my sister's on welfare now, and I'm on welfare. Well, the same thing. My grandfather was an insurance agent who had a business. And then, my father was an insurance agent who had a business. And so then now I'm in investments and I have a business. We don't do enough showing our kids what we do a lot of times, so they miss out on that blessing. Another thing is your children may not like your business. I got a family member who The grandfather passed away last year. The son or the son below him is in the landscaping business, but the grandson doesn't want to do that. So he's like, no, I don't want this business. But they got lucrative 6-figure businesses and 6-figure clients that they're doing all the time. But I don't want to be out there cutting grass, and I don't want to be doing that. So then, okay, don't let your grandfather's business die, though. You learn to trade, hire some people, and you be back home at the office and have them cutting the grass. Just because it's not a job you want to do doesn't mean that that business can't be lucrative for you, because we all talk about having multiple streams of income. That's one of those situations where you can be somebody who is working a 9 to 5, whatever you want to, whatever it is you want to do. And then you can have this business over here that you're not doing, but you're getting the income from. I don't want to do that, but I can do, I can make the money off of it. And I think that's another skill we need to teach our kids as well, because so many times you let those family businesses die because you yourself didn't want to do it. Okay, you don't want to run a restaurant, or you don't want to run a corner store, or you don't want to run a bodega, but hey, hire some people who do, and you just make sure the books are straight.
And what Shawn is talking about ties in perfectly to what we see in high schools. I always see these signs and they annoy me. The memes annoy me when they say, normalize going to trade school. Everybody doesn't want to go to trade school. You know why? Because we've talked about the trades. But let me tell you this. Let your HVAC go out. Who you calling? Let you need a plumber. My water heater went out over the weekend. I came out. It was water everywhere. I was freaked out. My husband yelling at me to call an emergency plumber. I did. 4 of them. They said, with COVID, we don't do emergencies anymore. I'm going to tell you right now, the thought of poop and pee and all that crap grosses me out. But I'm telling you, I was like, could I go and get my license and do exactly what Shawn Cunningham said? I don't have to know how to get in there with them toilets and everything, but I can run the company. I can hire people. I can get apprentices. And now I'm still in the business. This is what we need to be able to share with our young people. And let me go a step further. The government, state governments are paying for students to get their college, at least 2 years of associate. That 2 years is going to put you up to at least be a sophomore going into a 4-year school situation, or to get your full certification, and you just got it for free.
Right.
Free.
Right. It's important. Listen, we're touching on, and Shawn said something very important. Cunningham and Shawn Hall and Shawn Best, all 3 of the Shawns have said many important things. But the big thing is be an example. Be an example. And understand that, there's nothing wrong with having multiple streams of income. There's nothing wrong with being on a hustle. There's nothing wrong with, listen, if you're great at drawing, if you're great at mechanical drawing, if you're great on a computer, programming, there's money to be made doing that. Look, you take the skill that you're making money for someone else for, your 9 to 5, and do something on the side doing that same skill. Do that same skill. It's a hustle. It's a hustle. You have to have, I learned very early that you have to have multiple streams of income. You have to have that. And they say you're supposed to have 3. Sometimes it's very hard to have 3, but but at least have 2. And then a lot of people, and this is for the younger crowd, everybody's not going to be a rapper. Everybody's not going to be a producer. Everyone's not going to the league, the NBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball. So if you're an athlete, and there's nothing wrong with doing those as a hobby, but have something to fall back on also. You know what I'm saying? Music is great. Music is a great hobby. And it's only a hobby until it starts paying your bills. I've said that to multiple nieces and nephews, that music is a hobby until it pays your bill. Everything you do that cannot sustain you, that cannot pay your bills, is a hobby. Treat it as such and get yourself a job where you're going to be okay, that you're going to be able to live. Because living and having a good lifestyle will help you on your hustle. It'll help fund your 9 to 5, should help fund your hustle.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. It should help fund your hustle. Going to college for free, if you can get there for free, that's going to set your parents up, or whoever's going to pay for your college up for them to invest that money in a hustle and becoming an entrepreneur. Hooking up with Dr. Shawn Best, if you're in the Cooney if you're in the Cooney system up there
Come
and
on
in his
over.
program, listen, if they have mentors there to help you navigate life as a young brother, I don't know, but most of the young brothers, Latino or Black, go and talk to them. There's nothing wrong with talking to somebody that's already been there.
That's right.
And he can prove that he's been there because he has a earned doctorate in education.
That's right.
Yeah, and listen, I'll be honest, man. I knew that education was only going to pay me so much, doing this work, helping the kids, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. But when I think about the life that I want to live, I knew that in order to get to where I've never been before, I had to do something I've never done before. And part of that started with just like having these conversations. Like I love how you said, Dante, you talk to your nieces and nephews about, ownership and the importance of having a job that pays for your passion. And then same thing with Hassel, getting his kids to own homes in their 20s. I mean, I did not have those conversations with my family growing up at all. So, for me, it was really just trial and error, and really more error than trial, of just trying to figure out what was I the best at, what was I good at that I could actually produce some kind of revenue. And then when I learned about the consulting world through a family member of mine, I really sort of like my brain just like exploded. I just opened up and saying, wow, like I can create content and people will want that content because it's unique and because it's valuable and because everyone has their own imprint from God that just really is unique, that produces content that no one else can do except for you. So therefore, you have a lane to create revenue and to generate revenue through using your natural skills and talents, abilities. It's just a matter of whether you're willing to invest the time in really cultivating that talent and ability. And that came through more conversations. So At the end of the day, it's about the network and the community, whether it be through a mentor, through family members who are willing to talk to you about money, which is a hard thing to do. I think it was like my early 30s where my family finally started having conversations about my parents and their will and their money. Where is it saved? How do they get access to it? How do they make sure that their expenses are covered in case somebody does pass away? Those were conversations that we didn't have until I was in my 30s, and my parents are already in their almost 60s, right? And so those conversations are really the key in my mind to passing on generational trades and secrets, because I feel like, when I went to college, I went to University of Vermont undergrad, which was, I think, the whitest school in the country at the time in 1995.
The University of Vermont? I didn't know that. Ooh, all right.
Yeah, man. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. But they offered this scholarship that was like really more like a repayment program. It was like, come major in this major, then come back and teach 4 years for us in our high school, and then we'll pay you we'll pay for your student loans. And of course, as any college student probably switches major a couple times. I was switched my major a couple times, figured out junior year, I do not want to be a teacher. And so then I incurred all the student loans from those 4 years. And at the time, I think it was the most expensive public school in the country. So it is something I'm still paying for now. But it was such a crazy moment where I really felt like I was financially so devastated that I had no way up. And so I was just like, I'm not even going to look at my finances. I'm not going to pay attention to anything. I'm just going to live paycheck to paycheck. As long as I can pay my rent, I'll be okay. I was a full-time musician for a long time, behind on rent by months, borrowing money from friends and family. I mean, the struggle was real, man. And so it wasn't until my 30s that I started like looking at my credit score and seeing what it was and how to build the credit and how to actually like create more opportunities to earn more. And so once the light bulb came on, man, I realized real quick, I was like, all right, I got to play this game. Everybody's playing the game. I got to get in here. But I have to have these uncomfortable conversations and tell somebody that my credit score is 540. So how do I get it up to 600? And it was really hard to say these things out loud, but then you start saying it. And once you start like disassociating the shame from just the truth and just saying, the truth is truth, then we can actually go somewhere, get better, get smarter and stronger as a community. So.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah. Everything you said is on point. And you know what? It hit me. Even as an adult, I still haven't had, conversations with my parents about finances. Like my mother, I kid you not, I closed on, and this is not a brag, I closed on my house at the end of August. And I saw my parents that weekend. I was in Atlanta. And my mother was like, aren't you excited? I was like, what do you mean? Well, this is your first home. I was like, yeah, this is my third home. And so, I'm like, it's like, I'm not excited. I said, you remember you came to this house 20 some odd years ago. I owned that house. When you came to Iowa, I own that house. You know, it's like this is number 3, but they never, you know, so that it when you just said not having those conversations, it reminded me, it was like, yeah, you know, even as adults, we really don't have those conversations about what we're doing, how we're doing it with our parents, because they were supposed to be. And by the way, I saw my parents own home, so I understood that. I saw my parents work hard, you know, and you know, I saw that if you work hard, you can get the things that you want. You know, we went on vacations in the 80s and 90s, you know.
Right.
You know, we did things like that. You know, so I understood the value of hard work. They showed me that. I followed that example of, you know, being able to buy what you want to buy, being able to drive what you want to drive, living where you want to live. You know, so those were great examples, but we never talked about it. We never had not one conversation on how do you get a mortgage. I didn't learn how to get a mortgage until I was actually working for a mortgage company as an underwriter. I was like, oh, this is how you do this? This is how you're going to do it? My mother told me we're going to have one soon. That's
Same
funny.
here.
You know, so it is, we definitely got to start having those conversations, you know, and don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until it's over, you know, the deathbed to have those particular conversations.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's funny, Dante. One of the things that you were saying is I was listening to you, and you were talking about, you know, having those conversations. You know, we don't even have conversations about how to buy quality stuff. You know, because when you're poor, you buy the cheapest stuff, but you don't realize, what's that old adage? It's expensive being poor. That you got to buy it 4 times because it's cheap, because it keeps breaking. You know, when you as you build wealth, you got to make sure you get rid of that poverty mindset too, because then you realize, oh, well, I'm not just going to go and buy Mr. Coffee for $20. Let me look at some quality coffee makers, because this coffee maker is going to last me for 7 years or 10 years. So I ain't got to buy it 4 times. So yeah, I'm spending $125 up front, but I'm not spending $20 every year. And so I'm not going to end up spending $200 for the same amount of time for this. Or understanding you got a $750 MCM bag, but you ain't got $700 to put in it. You know, you got some $850 red bottoms, but you ain't got a car to put those red bottoms in, and you're taking public transportation, but you're getting somebody else to pick you up. Or you got some,
what it says. Yeah, I was just saying, you walking in the laundromat with a $700 purse.
Exactly. You got $10,000 rims on your car, but the engine is leaking oil. Like, we have to have those conversations about what is true, you know, assets. You know, what do you invest your money in? You know,
but we floss, right? We are showy people, period. You know, it's part of, I think it comes from us not having for so long that when we finally get something, it's like everybody got to know. Everybody has to know. And it's not anybody I'm not saying it's for everybody, but, you know, I'm talking about culturally, you know, we see it all the time. That's why we see the rappers, you know, with the cars, with the jewelry, but we don't see them making smart investments. I don't care what anybody says. And I'm not a fan of this guy, but I look at Rick Ross. I don't know what he does. I don't know if he's real, if he's fake, but this man invested in Wingstop. Yo, there's a Wingstop everywhere. This man gave his son a Wingstop for his 16th birthday. Literally bought him a franchise for his 16th birthday. So his son, if that franchise is run correctly, he'll have income going forward. You know, I mean, that to me, that's impressive. To me, you know, not buying a brand because you want to show people that that you can drink this champagne, but owning the champagne company, or E40 owning his own winery, owning his own winery, putting out his Earl Stephen vintage wine.
I was listening to Shaq, and he was like, you know, tell me this. He's like, who owns Elvis? Who owns Marilyn Monroe? Right? And then he goes, who owns what was it? Forever 21. Who owns JCPenney? He goes, me. It's like, how do you own Elvis's brand? How do you invest?
And what he did was the company that he partnered with, that he actually sold his likeness to, they made him a partner in that company, and that's what they do. They go and buy the brands. They go buy branding to make money, and that's how he owns that all. But that it makes him. And by the way, I did one of Shaq's mortgages 20 years ago, and he was buying. I can say this is 20 years removed. Nobody know where it is, but his Lakers money was penny money for him. He was making money off of all of his investments, car washes and franchises and Annie M's and Burger Kings and this, that, and the other. So and that's him. But I know guys that do that also, guys that are looking to do franchises. People that don't. I have a friend right now, Hassel. I have a friend right now that owns a huge franchise. He started off as a worker at this franchise, from what I understand, when he was a teenager, and moved up to the point where he actually owns multiple franchises, multiple units of this franchise. It's absolutely crazy. So there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
And part of it,
You're so stupid. Why you singing that song, man?
Part of it is starting early. We have the NCAA ruling that has changed. 10 years ago, you couldn't use your own name, likeness, and image. Now you can. And so now that you have the ability to do that, it's up to every parent. It's not about letting anybody else, no slickster agent, run in and tell you what can be possible. Align with last names. Bible says that a good name is what we should be trying to attain. So all of these brands that we're talking about, when we talk about Ford, when we talk about Chrysler, those are people's last names. It's not the brand itself. It is the last name. So what's somebody going to say about you? What's somebody going to say about Hall? What's somebody going to say about Hassel? Build the brand, take your name, likeness, and image, and instead of asking for the money, ask for interest in that company. Even if it's 1%, even if it's 0.5%, who's talking to these young athletes? My daughter is a young athlete. She had a lot of trouble with her teeth. And I was sitting there thinking, we bought a bunch of mouth guards over the years. I'm about to reach out. Oh, she's into health. Let me see which one of these companies align with her so that when she can get in there and use her name, likeness, and image, it's not about flossing and getting the cars, like you said, because as soon as you drive off the lot, it depreciates. These are the kinds of things that, honestly, young Black men have to have, or older Black men have to have with young Black men, to say, look, let me put you on game. Let me show you how to really have something here. You want to buy a house? And Cunningham, correct me if I'm wrong. The way that you do that is not to run out and buy a residential home. Go ahead and buy your investment home first. Then go back and get a house that you can live in. But who's having those conversations with 18-year-olds saying, you know what? You can go through a program that I won't mention either, that will use your income from college. You being in college 2 years, they're going to pay the down payment for your house. So by the time you graduate, you didn't put any skin in the game, but you still got a home. Who's talking about that?
You know, it's amazing.
Can I ask this?
Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I want to hear what you said because I have a question afterward. Go ahead.
All right. This is the only thing I'm saying. I'm because I love your questions, because your questions are always on point. Here's part of the problem too. It goes back to what Dante said. We have such a flossing mentality. I remember being a finance manager at a car dealership years ago, and I was talking to this brother about his financing, his money and stuff, and he was getting ready to buy this Chevy Tahoe at the time. Nice car. He could afford it. Wasn't no debt income ratio issues, none of that. I said, brother, you paying rent, and right now you're paying at the time like $800 a month rent. For that, you can own a home. He was like, I don't really want to own a house. I was like, hey, man, you can buy this car, but based upon your income, you can buy a house and a car and be doing well, man, and have you some equity and build up some things. He was like, I can't take the house with me. I can take the car with me. See, when I'm driving, women see me in this car. They see me with the rims. They see the tinted windows. They see me coming out here flossing because I'm pulling up the club. But they don't see my house. But that was the mentality because of what he had been taught. And, you know, the consumer mindset, the TV mindset, the hip hop, not hip hop because hip hop is good, the rap mindset, all of those mindsets had been fed into him. So that's where he was. So I couldn't fault him for his mindset because that's what he had been fed into him. That was his diet. But it was my job to kind of help him. We only got to talk a couple times, but I planted a seed. I saw the dude years later. He finally bought a house, but he had wasted like 7 years of equity that he could have had from doing that. So, you know, you're right. Sister, we got to reach these young brothers and talk to them.
I had a young brother here today. One of my other brothers brought him over there. I was getting some work done or getting ready to get some work done. And he was like, hey, you know, this kid right here is a super producer with a hot artist that just got canceled recently. He produced some songs for him. And I was like, oh, good, you know, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, what are you doing in Charlotte? You know, he was like, well, this happened, that happened. I said, okay. I said, so, but you're still getting your publishing, right? You know, you got your publishing, you know, because you wrote and produced these songs, you know, This guy only, well, nah, they just, yeah. I said, oh. I said, so that means you didn't read Donald Passman's book, right? Never heard of him. I walked in the house, get the book, and said, yo, read this. If you're going to be in the music industry, you have to know what your rights are. You need to know what it means to have publishing, for your residuals, for ownership. That's for everybody. And it gets back to who's having these conversations with these young cats, so they're not getting ripped off by people. They're not getting ripped off by the landlord. They're not getting ripped off by the F&I manager at the car dealership. They're not getting ripped off by. They're not getting.
Dante.
Yeah. What did I say? I just said.
I'm just saying. You got to add the preacher to that. Just add all of our.
I didn't add no preacher to it. Why would I add the preacher to it?
No,
Sean's not an F&I man no more.
I'm just saying, like, yo, it's what we did. Like, lay off. Man.
That's why I don't talk to Dante, man. That's why I don't talk to him.
Right? Ain't he offensive?
What I do? Wait a second. Listen, I'm not going to front. Look, I started working at Beneficial Finance, so the reason one of the reasons why I left Beneficial, because my pastor preached on me one Sunday morning. He was like, y'all up here in church every Sunday, but you give my members 30% interest personal loan. I was like, yo, why you got to preach about me?
Tell him it was only 25. You can't count.
Well, I was in Carolina. It was 30. It was 30%.
But my question is this: is a lot of times with the social media culture for these kids, there's that whole concept of social proof that actually people don't support you in your business, your entrepreneurial pursuits and things like that, unless you have social proof that you're already successful. And so a lot of times we're buying trinkets, we're buying things to show that we're already wealthy so that people can believe in the things that we're doing as entrepreneurs. And it's actually a death spiral.
You said something. You said something a while ago, and I think Hassel, we were having a conversation, and I'm hoping that this was you, but I can't eat off of my friends.
No, they're not my tribe. It's in my book.
Not my tribe. It's not my. It's in your book. It is in your book. It's in your book. See, I knew he said it because I was like, I know we talked.
Yo,
about it.
brother Hassel, put your book in the chat, man, so I can buy a copy because I got to support. So put a copy. Do that.
He has a few books, but the book that was in was My Merchandise is Good. Okay, I do know that, and that particular book, it's powerful because it just talks about the you. It talks about knowing that what you have to offer is good. And the people that are around you that may not support you, they're not your tribe. They may be your tribe, but they may not support you because they know you, right? I took that, and you can't just eat off of your tribe because your tribe is too small anyway. You're supposed to be reaching others. Your tribe already knows you. You need to reach others. And
here's what I want to say to that, Dante. And I believe that, you see all these quotes on social media where people say, strangers support you more than family. And if you had to depend upon your family for your business, you wouldn't survive. Well, with your family, you don't know but 10 people. So if you're trying to open or hold a restaurant and have 10 people support you, even if your family eats there every day, you're going to go out of business.
Right.
So, but one of the things that I say to that is you have to, when you're in business for yourself, you have to be a person of your word, show up on time, deliver what you said you were going to deliver, and set your price and keep it. Those things will keep you set. One of the problems is, and Dante, you know this, I have a family member who has a business who I can't count on because he either shows up late or he doesn't finish the job or he does half of the job. And so you can't refer business to him. And the problem is I got a network of several people who want to give him business but can't because he hasn't completed stuff he was supposed to do before. And so when you're in business, you got to make sure that your word is bond. And that's whether you work a 9 to 5, or that's whether you're in a relationship with a woman, that's whether you're a principal at a school, your word has to be true. And so when people say, and it goes back to what you said, Dante, sometimes your people don't support you because they know you're trifling. Sometimes you're like, people don't support me. Ain't nobody in my family supporting you. Yeah, because you ain't never followed through on anything you've had. You've had 54 businesses, but you ain't never followed through on any one of those. But I do think everybody's looking for somebody. So if Brother Hassel has a carpentry business and he comes in and he fixed the banister at my stairwell, when my brother needs that, I'm like, yo, Brother Hassel fixed my stuff. So then when my brother says, hey, can you come over and do my steps and fix my banister? But I need a book. I need some built-ins built in beside my fireplace. They be like, yo, man, do those. And then that's how you go from being a small business to being a good sized business, by completing the job and keeping your word, because word of mouth is still the best type of advertisement. Yes, social media is great. It's great for a business like real estate. It's great for a business like mortgages. But most of us are in service industry jobs that have our own business, like landscaping, like painting, like roof repair, like irrigation. We're doing those kind of jobs. So word of mouth is what's key. You can put on social media all you want to, but if you can't show up and clean those person's gutters when they ask you to clean their gutters on time, that's what the problem is. And those small businesses that built our neighborhoods, you can always count on them to do what they were supposed to do. But so many now, in the generations that we're seeing now, they don't want to complete a job.
And I think too, Sean, in service related industries, people always think because we are skin folks that you can get the hookup. I hear that all the time, especially with what I do. Being in this education business and its scholarships, and people are like, well, I could do that. Well, do you have a payment plan? Let me ask you this. When you go and you buy your house, do you ask them if they have a payment plan? No, you don't. When you go and you see that this is greatness don't go on sale. The price is the price. And you can be cheap now. And what I love to tell people, your tuition, every UNC school is about $25,000 out the door. We're talking about room, board, and tuition. Mm-hmm. When you show up, before you show up, you have to be financial. And when you come there, they say, hi, Mr. Hassel, how are you? You've got a Maya? Okay, your bill is $25,282. Cash, check, charge. That's what they're asking. Mm-hmm. Now, you can pay them on that day, or you can pay somebody like me ahead of time so that you don't get to having to pay. But what people say is, well, are we sure it's going to work? I mean, is there a guarantee? Nothing in life is guaranteed except for death and taxes. That's it. You're not guaranteed that your child is going to go back to school.
You can get around taxes. But, here's the thing, though, sis, to your point. I agree with this completely. I have never asked a friend of mine who has a business for a hookup.
Right.
Never. Because that ain't what I do. I could have said, hey, Brother Hassel, let me get 10 books from you, man. And then, can you give me a bulk discount?
Right.
No, I'm gonna go right either to a website. Sure. I mean, to go to Amazon or whatever, and sit down somewhere, brother. But I'm gonna buy a copy of his book. I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna enjoy it, and then I'm gonna buy some more copies and give to people, because I believe that's what you do to support. When I bought my suits from this brother who does suits, I didn't ask for him for no discount. I said, hey man, how much are 4 suits? He said, this is the price, and then he told me, but Sean, I'm running a special because it's Christmas season. Let's go ahead and give you the special. Cool. You gave me something you can get to everybody. When I buy cakes from people, I pay full price for the cakes. When I pay for my lawn service, I pay for it. Now, when I go to other businesses, when I'm not dealing with us, I'm negotiating like a crazy person. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to a friend's business or a friend's restaurant or whatever, I pay full price. And that's
right. That's support. So I think
Hassel, do me a favor, Hassel. I'm gonna let you talk.
And I deal with that.
Talk about your book, and then go ahead and make a comment also. But I want you to talk about my merchandise.
Yeah, please.
So I mean, the book is really it was really me dealing with imposter syndrome and really being overly controlled by my small circle and thinking that if they didn't support it, it wasn't valid. And then all of a sudden I realized that there's billions of people who have not met me yet who need what God has put in me. And therefore I wrote it without being overly self-conscious. And those who wanted to support me bought the book. Those who needed what I was writing bought it. And I think one of the things that we misunderstand in business is that since I opened a business, someone should support me. No, you buy what you need. And if you don't
can I say something
both
of you though? Dr. Hassel and Dr. Hassel and Sister Best, I want to say to both of you, the one thing I've heard from both of you that's really strong to me, your gifts will make room for you. We all stand on the word, and that's the most simple thing. Your gifts will make room for you. Dante is an amazing musician. Those doors made room. Those doors open for him to be a musician. He's amazing dude in finance. Those doors open for him. Dr. Hassel, you wrote a book for your gifts, and you was like, hey, there's the billion people who need my services. Just because the family in front of me, though. Sister, I wish I knew you 20 years ago so I could have had my degrees free, because I would have paid for that. But that's something we don't know. And that's amazing. Just listening, sitting here with you guys, is just stuff that you don't know that we don't have access to. So we have to spread the word. So Dante, I applaud you for having a format like this. Dr. House, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. I really apologize.
No,
but that was
right.
just something
no, it's all right.
spirit, you know.
But it was something that I preached, but I had to live it. It was like literally I got these books that are sitting on the shelf that I wrote that I never put out because I overthought it.
How many books did you write? I know the answer. I know the answer to this. How many books did you write last year during the pandemic?
I wrote 4 books during pandemic. Yeah, I mean, because I was going crazy in the house. I had a garden. I was growing collard greens. I was growing macaroni and cheese in the garden. I was anything I could do not to go crazy, man.
But you made good use of your time, and I love that you cranked out 4 books. I barely got out the one that I got out in the pandemic. But
now don't read it for the grammar. I'm gonna tell you that right now because I believe in it's done, not finished. You know.
Hysterical.
Right.
But what I did was get my ideas out and making sure that I'm creating products that go with the brand that I'm trying to build, and it was liberating just to know that I could feed my family with what came out of my mind, and using the machine of Amazon and all of the technology now just makes it that much more easy to do it. And I'm keeping more of my royalties because I'm selling it on my website and not trying to get these big retail deals that take all of your profits. And so, you're just learning how to keep stuff in house. And I mean, there's so many concepts when you talk to people about these things. And my children, I'm talking to them, they're getting it. They're starting to understand how to keep the money, and stop trying to floss, because a big deal don't mean you got a lot of money.
Right.
And broke.
Man,
there are a lot of famous broke people. There are a lot of famous broke people, and but again, that goes back to our floss, right? We got to show everybody what we have instead of just. I like that. And Sister Shawn, your Shawn Hall, your book is Prepare Now, Don't Pay Later. And what's your website? Because I want to put it up also. Or you can type it in the comments section down there. Type it in the comments so everybody online can grab it. Everybody here, listen, I'm gonna write a book too one day.
Yeah, put your website down there, sis.
Yeah, put your website down. Put it in the comments section so that way it goes all around, not just in the private chat. You put it in the private chat.
Yeah, how do you do that? I can't do it on my phone.
I'll figure it out. I'll put it in there for you though. So Shawn Hall's website is allroadseducation.com. I'm going to type it in here also under the comments. That way everybody can go there. They can grab the book. They can go and see what she's doing to help our community, help our community go to school. I mean, we need people to go to school.
It's doable, and it's not just for young kids. There are PhD and master's programs that will pay you to come. And I'm going to give this piece of free advice. The way that you get your master's degree or your PhD for free, you don't pick the school first and then look for somebody to pay for it. You look for the school that will pay you to come. There's a reverse. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to just have the degree. To have the degree, that earned PhD that Dr. Best has. My mother has an earned PhD. Those are things that open the door. My mother didn't pay one dime. That's really the blueprint for my life. I watched my mom do it. When I saw her do it, I was like, wait, what happened? Now, there were some things that we went through. We didn't live together my junior year in high school because she got an opportunity to get her PhD for free. She had talked about it my whole life. So I knew it was a big deal for her. And I thought it won't be this way always. And that's another thing. We have this instant gratification mentality, not only Black people, but this generation. And that's because of our generation. That's what we fostered. Oh, my kid wants it now. Let me hurry up and go get it. No, some things you got to wait for. You got to work for, and you will appreciate it more when you get it. So when I saw my mom get her PhD, when I saw the work that she put into it, I realized this is possible. All roads really do lead to education, because everything that Cunningham, Hassel, Dante that you've been talking about, this is all education. Like, people have been sitting here, you got a master's tonight. Just with these brothers right here, you got a whole master's degree. Now, what you do with it, that's the difference. That's the difference
Oh,
maker.
that's a big difference. So, Brother Vincent Crawford, a friend of ours from New York, my daughter is 14. What do you recommend a teen to learn about finances? What and
Yo,
when?
right now, you already behind the cuff. If she's 14, you're already behind the cuff because she's already in your pocket if she's 14.
Oh my God.
So
Oh my
she already in
God.
your pocket. So you need to go ahead and have her, like, when you pay the bills, you need to show her as you're paying the bills. When you get paid, you actually show them, okay, I made $1,000. I put $200 of it in the bank immediately. I took $100 and I invested it. Those are the things that you want to do immediately. When you give her $100, go to the store with her and say, okay, let me show you this. This $100, once you spend, you see this item for $75, it's going to cost you $80 because of taxes. Understand though, you have to start teaching them those things. Teaching them how to build wealth, teach them about insurance. Everything that you learn in yourself, you teach your children, you feed into them, because everything that they see poverty mindset, they'll follow. Everything they see wealth mindset, they'll follow. So you decide what you're pouring in that cup.
And also, you need to get with Shawn Hall right now. Go to her website and
Yes.
get and set up a consultation with her.
Yeah.
And just to figure out, what can I do right now to prepare my daughter for college, even though she's 14.
Listen,
All
14
roads,
is not too
all
early.
roads education, allroadseducation.com. Go there and talk to her. Capital One has there you go. Capital One has an account you can open for her, and she'll get a debit card, and she can learn how to grow and what spending will do.
Let me just say one thing about debit cards, if I can. Be careful. You have to explain to children that the money on that plastic card is not unlimited. It comes attached to the money that you put in it. And I'm against kids. Me personally, I'm against these green cards, debit cards, because it's a false sense of reality. They see you whip it out and you think there's always money, but parents ain't talking about how many NSFs they got, right? How many ACHs went through and didn't get paid. So before you try to teach money that way, like with the card, use the envelope system. Put money in it and you don't spend more than what you have. And when it's gone, it's empty.
Go ahead.
We had that conversation with Kyra a little too late. She was about 11 and we were on a cruise ship and they gave her the room key that was a debit card. And she's like going to the store buying chips and she, everything while she's on the cruise. And she goes, Dad, this is the coolest thing. You just show the card and they give you anything you want. I'm like, what are you doing?
What are you talking about? And now $500 later, you got $500 worth of chips. Chips and candy, $500. Yeah, to me, good point. Yeah, listen, I think it's important to teach financial literacy. I think, let me just take this off the screen real quick. Also, there's something on here that I want to take off. I think, let me get my thoughts in line here while I'm doing this. Teach them early. Teach them financial management early. Like I think Pepper just put that in here.
Yeah.
Teach them the things that we didn't learn, but also teach them in a way where you're guiding them the right way, not expecting them to know it on their own already. Just don't give it to them and say, "Okay, have fun." It's set the limits, set the expectations for what they should have. And then and here's the other thing. And I say this, I do these workshops, right? I do these budgeting workshops. And I always ask the parents, raise your hand if you give your kids an allowance. And a lot of them raise their hands. And then I said, well, raise your hands if you actually have them work for that allowance. And then probably 75% of the crowd puts their hands down. And I say, why? Teach them responsibility. You work, whatever it is, you earn. You work, you earn.
We did.
You work, you earn. Teach them the right way. And that way they can understand the value of work. Yes, if I work, if I do this, if I do these errands that my parents want me to do, if I do these chores that they ask me to do, I earn money. So that way you won't have a child at 18, 19 years old saying, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't necessarily want to go to college, or I may want to go to college, but I'm not going to work while I'm in college. And then, the parents look at Shawn's face just lit up like, no, you work. Teach them the value of work. And that teaches them the value of $1 also, or whatever it is. Go ahead, Shawn.
I think Sister Hall need to say something. Yeah.
I'm going to say this because, Shawn, you talked about people honoring commitments, and I have a client that I'm about to go work with at 9:30. It's 9:33. But let me just say this. You should work. Bible says that if a man doesn't work, you don't eat. College, however, is a 4-year extension. In my estimation, it's like a lifeline on childhood. Like you play those video games and you get to extend your life. That's how college is. And so while you're there, what happens so often is old heads like us say, oh, I worked when I was in college. Inflation happens. And so that little piece of job that you had that helped put you through college is not going to help put your baby through college. And what happens 9 times out of 10, students get to college, they work a job, and now they feel like they're in college to work that job. They're not going to classes because they have to work that job. So let's understand that before we go in. And if they're going to work a job, get that $12,000 deduction. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, have your kids work for you. Have your kids work for you so you can save up some of that money, and that can pay for books. That can help them while they're there and they're not struggling. But having a job while you're in school, especially first semester, when these kids just 3 months ago had to ask for permission to go to the bathroom, now they're all on their own.
Right.
No, you're already issuing them a death sentence, in my opinion, and from what I've seen.
Right.
I agree
Shawn,
with some of that. I'm gonna leave what I don't agree with alone, but I agree with this. Definitely agree with the second part of what you're saying. I certainly agree with the fact that. Well, let me tell you what I disagree with. I do agree with hiring your own children because not enough of us who have businesses hire our own kids and pay some money out because it gives you great tax benefits and stuff. I do see, though, studies have shown that students who work or students who play a sport, they perform better in school than students who don't work. And they tend to graduate at a higher level. But I agree with you that the first semester, the first year, if you don't have to work, don't work because you're acclimating yourself to school.
Because it's a different world being in high school. There's a meme out there that 8 o'clock from high school is different from that 8 o'clock in college.
Yeah, I have one 8 o'clock class that taught me. Do that no more.
Yeah, you can't do that. You being on your own is a different level of independence. I'm not saying that children won't get there, but the insurance companies are onto something. Why do you think the insurance rates for those 25 and under is so high? It's because that part of the brain that is fully developed with reasoning is not there until 25. So your kids are going to make bad decisions. Even if they're 18 or 19, they are not fully developed. So we still got to give our help, as we talked about earlier. We still have to be the parent and say, look, I'm going to kick you $200. Your job is to be in school. I need straight A's. Yes, I'm checking in. Yes, I want your password. I'm going to protect my investment. Don't y'all do that? Don't you get on there at Robinhood and see what's going on with your money, but you don't check in on your kids to see what those grades are coming out like? No. You have to check in. You have to inspect what you expect constantly.
Come on.
Thank
you, Shawn. I know you need to run. Thank you for coming, Shawn.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Allroadseducation.com. That's Shawn Hall's website. Please go and support. For those that have children in high school, in junior high school, in college, if they're in college, get with her now so she can help you save some money. Please, it's important. It's important. Lots of money. Thank you, Shawn. Thank you for joining us.
All
right, so last thing on the wealth and the hustle and dough, and then I'm gonna transfer to some ratchetness real quick because I got some other stuff I need to get off my chest tonight. Listen, we've been an hour and a half. We talked good talk. But now, we're gonna have to do. So last thing on the entrepreneurship, the hustle and dough, and building wealth. There is a book out that Miss Dorothy A. Brown wrote, and a friend of mine out in California turned me onto this book last week called The Whiteness of Wealth. I started listening to it, and then I actually got the PDF to read it, and I'm in the first 25 pages, and I'm like, yo, and it talks about the tax code. How the tax code helped people build wealth, and how it destroyed blacks and black wealth. The book is phenomenal. Read it, go listen to it. I may try to reach out to the author and see if I can get her to come on and just talk about the book a little bit because I think it's an important topic. I mean, even understanding how Dorothy A. Brown. Yep, she's the author. Even the book talking about how the marriage, how we always follow as you're married, filing your taxes jointly may be a disadvantage for a lot of people, because it's craziness, yo. So Yeah, it's a great book. So I suggest everybody go out and read it. You know, it's on iBooks, it's on Amazon, it's on your Kindle Fire. So go and get it. So listen, we had a great hour and a half conversation on entrepreneurship, hustle and dough. Look, get your hustle. Everybody got to hustle. Go get your money, get your bag, as they say, but do it the right way. You know, talk to a financial management company person. You know, if you're running a company, make sure that you incorporate yourselves. Don't try to do everything off of Schedule C because you're going to get in trouble. I promise you. You know, if you create a product or content, I have a friend on Facebook. She's on my Facebook page. You can look her up, Sean Kearney. She was on some VH1 show. I don't even remember the name of the show. I don't even know her from that show, but they called her Popra on the show because of her hustle. But she does trademarks. You know, she talks about trademarks all the time. I'm gonna get her to come on. I see if I can get her to come on and talk about trademarking ideas. Don't wait too late. Don't wait until you get sued. Don't wait until somebody else has your idea to try to file a lawsuit when you didn't trademark your product, when you didn't trademark your intellectual property. That's important to do. So I'm going to do that, but do it. Read a book. Google is your friend. I promise you, everything you want to know, you can probably Google it and get that information. So that was our segment on hustle and dough. I appreciate it. I'm gonna take 10 seconds. I'm just gonna go silent for 10 seconds and go to the second part of this. So hold on a second, Sean and James. It's just 10 seconds. That's all I need to get. Countdown.
What is wrong with you? That's why I don't fool with you.
8, 9, and 10. All you jokers out there talking about my Lakers the first week of the season and going in about the Knicks, kill yourselves right now. There ain't no way in the world. Yo, the Knicks look good the first four games of the season. So what? The Knicks always look good every year the first 4 games of the season. We got a brand new team out in LA. Y'all got some nerve. The Knicks ain't going nowhere. I guarantee the Knicks won't make it out the playoffs this year. Knicks ain't winning no championship. The Knicks ain't gonna never win a championship, but my Lakers are probably gonna win.
Just mark my words, Smith, man. You sound like Stephen A.
I'll say what you want to say, but these Knicks fans. Somebody sent me a whole thing on opening night of the Knicks. The fans are going crazy at the Garden. I'm like, it's day one. What's the issue? What's the issue day one? Here's the other thing that's on my mind. Dave Chappelle is a genius. Dave Chappelle told them folks last night, y'all not gonna summons me. Y'all not gonna try to castrate me. They trying to catch this man got a movie right now. Yeah, oh my God, you're really going into the Knicks like that. Yes, I am going on the Knicks like that. I told y'all we ready to get into some ratchet stuff. I got a few minutes to get into some ratchet stuff. Go watch Dave Chappelle. It's a 2-minute video he put out on yesterday about his experience with the LGBTQ community and what they're dealing with right now, because they're trying to cancel him. And you know what he said is his opinion. It's almost like you can't have an opinion on anything any longer, but you can have an opinion on everything but them. And I think that was his point. You know, they talk about what they want to talk about. They do what they want to do. But as soon as you say something that's against them, they want to cancel you. And what he said yesterday was he feels like he's the only person that's not allowed back into the Netflix campus. He can't even Vincent, cut it out. He said the Lakers beating each other up on the bench like Ali and Frazier.
Yeah, what was that about?
I really thought Dwight Howard was going to get cut. I really thought he was going to get cut on Saturday.
I saw your post. Yeah, I saw the post.
I really thought he was going to get cut on Saturday. But listen, go watch Chappelle the Closer. It is a great commentary. He's a great comedian, and it's social commentary. Some stuff, I may not agree with everything that he said, but you know what? He's a comedian. He's supposed to be funny. And if you think that Dave Chappelle is controversial, go watch Richard Pryor.
Go watch George Carlin.
Go watch George Carlin. Go listen. Go watch. Go watch Eddie Murphy Delirious, Eddie Murphy Raw. Go watch Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip. Go watch the Kings of Comedy. Go watch the Kings of Comedy. Go watch I forgot this woman's name. Go watch Sarah Silverman. She may not be your type of comedian, but they have said some things that have been way worse than what Dave Chappelle has said. And they're not trying to cancel them. Why is that? Jerry Seinfeld has said some controversial things. Nobody's trying to cancel him. So I think that whole cancel culture thing, they need to cut that mess out. It's ridiculous, yo. Stop being a bunch of punks. Y'all a bunch of punks. Yeah. Now I'm not gonna say what the joke. There's a deal. Yo, I didn't even mention Paul Mooney because they can't. Paul Mooney. I've seen Paul Mooney live 3 times, and Paul Mooney gets off on people literally walking out the room. If he can make you so uncomfortable that you're walking out the room, he's done his job. That's how he feels. But Paul Mooney, it's the truth. Yo, go watch. Paul Mooney's best special to me is Know Your History. If you go and watch that, and he was a great, he wrote Eddie Murphy Raw.
Well, if you watch anything by Dick Gregory.
They don't want to do nothing but Dick Gregory. They don't want to
watch anything by Dick Gregory.
No, Dick, they can't handle.
Yes, we're gonna repost it, Pepper. It's always, you can go to the Deacon Board podcast page. It's on that page there. Also, for everyone listening, please go like, share, and subscribe on Apple Music, on Spotify, wherever you pick up your podcast. We need people to like it there, not just watching the Facebook Live. It's cool. The Facebook Live is cool. We do it because we like interacting with the audience. But please just go like, share, and subscribe on Spotify. But yeah, Dick Gregory is definitely the GOAT. Yo, listen, Dick Gregory, and it's all political commentary. It's political commentary. Yeah. And it's true commentary. And look, he's an equal opportunity offender. Yeah, I've seen him.
I think one of the things as a preacher, I'm jealous of the comedians because they can speak their mind. And I think this is what Chappelle was saying about the LGBTQ community, that Black people are jealous of the platform that they built, that they're able to bully people like that. And in a relatively short period of time, where, his joke about, if we had been wearing pom-poms on the plantation, we would have got free a long time ago.
Correct. That was funny. It was funny.
Yeah, well,
it's not beet juice.
And I
mean, it's not blood. It's beet juice.
And I'm saying the truth, though. The truth of what he's saying is that there is a level of envy from the Black community in our civil rights struggle, that they've made much more progress.
Right.
And the reasons for that are spiritual.
Right. Okay. I mean, I agree with it. I agree with what you're saying. I have no beef with that.
So, I mean, but they can't get mad when somebody makes a joke about their lifestyle.
They cannot.
It's a joke.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke. I mean, it's a joke. That's all that it is. It's a joke.
Well, I get mad when they joke about Black people. I get mad.
But you're not trying to cancel them.
Well, I ain't got no power to cancel because I'm not LGBTQ. They can cancel folks.
But it doesn't make sense, though. It's an unequal playing field at that point.
I think that's how you spell cancel.
Oh, really? I'm not messing with you. You're not gonna get my podcast canceled before I even get started. I'm not playing with you. I'm not playing with you tonight. Let's see what else. What else is on my mind? So we talked about the Lakers. We talked about the Knicks. Somebody put up, and I'm gonna tag him in this. No. He does have his. So tickets went on sale today, Vincent. He's showing his documentary.
Yeah,
he's showing his documentary. He's paying to screen it in stadiums. So this Joker has rented out stadiums, 73, 74, 80,000 people at one time going into these stadiums watching his documentary because the companies won't touch it now. But you know
that's what Prince did. That's what Prince did.
Right.
Again, this goes back to why I don't like. I'm selling my book on my own website. You sell your music on your own website because these labels are getting all the money for no reason. He's got strong brand. Yo, do it yourself.
Do it yourself. You have the money. You have the money. Do it yourself. You have enough money to do it yourself. Just go ahead and do it. It is what it is. They're mad. Just do it yourself, and then show them. Because look, we all know that Dave's not scared. I mean, he walked away from $50 million. We know he's not scared of anything. When you walk away from that type of money, you're not scared of anything.
Yeah.
So, just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
So
Sean, would you have walked away from that $50 million just not to wear a dress in a movie?
Yeah, because that's not my whole stilo across the board. I've always had a problem across the board with it's always Black men asked to put on a dress. Every comedian we have, or every actor we've had on a sitcom of some sort, they've always asked to put on a dress. And it's whether you watched Urkel, having to put one on. You watch so many when you watch In Living Color. most of them had to put on a dress. You see so many sitcoms, so many stand-up comedians that quote unquote Martin Lawrence put on a dress with Shanae. It's so many of us where we have to be emasculated to be considered funny when you already was funny. You didn't have to put that on, but it's always something that we have to put on a dress. So that's always been a problem for me. So I've never liked that. That's always been an issue for me. So that bothers me.
Robin Williams, but I mean the white comedians had to do it also.
Well, yeah, you see do it in Booze and Buddies, but we have enough problem with emasculation that we don't have to do that.
I get it.
When you're always doing well. And it's always when you're doing well. It's never when that dude was struggling that they had them put on a dress. It was always when they was doing well. Like, you don't reach a certain plateau. Okay, let's take you down a notch. Let's put you on a dress.
Right, because Tom Hanks did Booze and Buddies. Nobody knew who Tom Hanks was.
Right. When he did it, he was.
Yeah. When Robin Williams was a struggling actor, they put him in. He wasn't really struggling for Mrs. Doubtfire. He did a whole movie. He wasn't really struggling, but I mean. I don't know. I just think that
I think that Eddie Murphy's sexuality was real strong when they made him put on the dress, and that the masculinity of the black male is always a threat to white purity, and therefore they have to dumb it down in order to feel safe liking us. Right. I just think it's become an epidemic of our funny, our successful comedians. It's almost like it's a rite of passage for a lot of our actors. If they want to do well, you're going to have to emasculate yourself. And I think I just have an issue with that. That's just me.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me tell you what's on my mind, Dante, because you didn't put this out there. I was waiting for you to put this out there, but this is what was on my mind. Mike Tomlin. That's my dude. So, Mike Tomlin coached the Pittsburgh Steelers, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, never had a losing season in 14 years, never had a losing season. So, Derek Carr, who I have no problem with, says, hey, we thinking about him coming to USC or LSU and coaching either one of those schools. No problem with that. Reporter asked him, hey, how you feel about coaching in college? No problem with the reporter, because that's a legitimate question because it's out there. But Tomlin says, why would you come to me with that nonsense? I'm at the pinnacle. I'm at the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3 coaches in their lifetime. I'm a Hall of Fame coach. I don't want a Super Bowl. Right. Why would I go back to college? You don't ask Sean Payton that, who's won a Super Bowl, but resume is not his mine. Right. You don't ask Andy Reid that, who's won a Super Bowl, whose resume is not his mine. So why in the world you gonna ask, him that? And so when he said, I'm gonna answer this once and it ain't answer no more. Never say never, but never. See, but it's a black. You always got to put your resume out there as a black man. No matter how high you reach, you always got to restate your resume whenever you're walking into somewhere. You always got to prove that, hey, I deserve a seat at this table, even though I'm the person who bought this table and built it and put it in there, and it's in my room. But then, when they bring you in, it's like, well, we got to put your whole resume out there.
Well, I said this before. There's a difference between being in the room and being at the table.
Right.
And, a lot of us get in the room, but a lot of us don't get a seat at the table. And Tomlin has a seat at the table.
I'm saying a lot of us get at the table, but we ain't eating.
Yeah, that's true too. I want to eat. I just don't want to be sitting there, drinking water, because that's all, because I'm scared to eat because I don't know what fork to use to eat my salad.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about tables in my years as a pastor, and I realized what I thought was the table ain't the table.
Nah,
that's the vestibule.
Exactly.
Correct. The table.
And sometimes people bring you at the table to embarrass you, to show that you're not at a seat of honor. Sometimes that's why they bring you in. That's why they bring you in sometimes, so that they can say, hey, let me embarrass you and let you know you think you're big, but you're big in this little pool over here. Let me bring you over here and show you this is what the table looks like. You don't get to eat here, but we're going to bring you in here and let you serve. So, you're right. There's different tables.
Real quick.
There's different tables.
I'm trying to figure out why James's internet in the Dominican Republic is actually better than Sean's right now.
Because he's in Mexico.
I'm talking about Sean Cunningham. Oh, he has Spectrum. Is that what it is? No, Sean is sitting up in Charlotte. He's sitting up in Huntersville, not far from
There's no fiber in my area. No Google fiber, no AT&T fiber. All I got is Spectrum and Windstream. And Windstream only has 200 megabytes here. So, I got an ant on a treadmill, man. That's why I'm expecting.
My Wi-Fi here in Dominican Republic is ridiculous. I don't know how I'm still clear.
Yeah, you clear.
You clear as can be. I'm under somebody's basement in the garage around the corner.
I'm also on my phone. That might be the other
Yeah,
thing
that might
too.
be the other thing, that Apple product. Oh, here's the other thing that's on my mind right now. There's no way in the world that Cam Newton should still be sitting at home with the way that some of these bum quarterbacks are playing. Because Sam Darnold he was a bum when he was with the New York Jets, and he is a bum right now here in Carolina. And if they thought that dude was going to replace Cam, they made a horrible mistake.
He wasn't even an upgrade on Teddy Bridgewater, let alone replacing. Damn, he wasn't even a replacement there. But you win 3 games against no competition with Christian McCaffrey playing. The moment Christian McCaffrey go down and Shaq Thompson not playing anymore, you lose 4 straight games, and you get blown out by the Giants.
You get blown out by the
Giants. The Giants were 1-5. You get blown out. Come on.
Yeah.
But Cam Newton's sitting at the crib.
He's sitting at the crib.
With Miami being 0-7, and I don't understand why people are trying to go for Deshaun Watson because he's not going to play this year. The cases ain't going to be sometime next year, so he probably won't play next year either. So I don't even know why you're looking at Deshaun Watson.
That whole situation with Deshaun is just it's disheartening. Because we don't know what the truth is. What we do know is that, from what I understand, let me go ahead and put allegedly up here right now. So, I don't know why I don't even have allegedly anymore. Whatever. What we do know is that the attorney for all these women are friends with the owner of the Texans, which is weird to me. So, how did all that come to play? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I hope he gets things together down there, man. It's a hell of a waste of talent. Down there in Houston, him sitting out for the next year. And I hope, if something did happen, that he's held accountable also. Accountability is important, but if he didn't do anything, come on, let's cut the brother a break. All right. I'm done ranting. Plus I got to go upstairs and watch the Lakers play. I've been watching Shannon Sharp's podcast. Shannon has a dope podcast called Club Shay Shay. I like Shannon Sharp. I've always liked Shannon Sharp. So there's a lot of dope podcasts out right now. Questlove Supreme is another dope podcast that I listen to all the time. Vincent wants to know what I think about Herschel Walker. I mean, I don't think anything about Herschel Walker. I forgot Herschel Walker even existed after he retired from the NFL.
Wasn't he the one with the shag?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember.
No,
I guess
funny. Yeah, I saw him Trump.
Yes, he had a shag.
He's a Trump guy.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's a Trump guy, if he's a Biden guy. You know what I'm saying? Politics is. I worked in DC for a year on a secretary level job, and I can tell you that inside the Beltway, inside 495, there's no difference between red or blue, Republican or Democrat, because they're all about green. But it's an illusion to make everyone outside the Beltway think there are massive differences between the parties. And so, for me, it's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. You need to vote locally first for the people that have the best interests of your community, because that crap that happens in DC, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all smoke and mirrors. I promise you, if you pull back the curtain to see the wizard, it's all controlled by money. And it's all about
that's from the Wizard of Oz. That's the Wizard of Oz. He says, don't pay any attention to the man behind the green curtain. They're telling you that it's all smoke and mirrors, and the green curtain is money. It's all about money.
All about money. It's all about money.
Now, the Wiz was better, though, because I'd rather be seen in green or dead in red.
Stupid.
Well, just don't bring me no bad news, and we good.
You can't win, child. You just can't win. All right.
Slide some oil to me.
Slide some oil to me.
That's funny. It's been an honor, man.
It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure,
always, Doctor. Much love, much respect, man. Y'all support the book
for real.
Y'all support the book. Get them all. My merchandise is good. HustleMinistries.com. Make sure you do your thing. Support the sister. MoreRoadsEducation.com. We can't. We had this great discussion, but if we ain't going back and supporting those that are doing the work in the community,
it doesn't make sense.
It makes sense. So get the brother's book, get the sister, get your kids in school. She want to reach them when they freshmen and sophomores, before they even get to junior high school. So, get to be a junior in high school so that you get that money so that your kids are set up for success. Brothers teaching you how to run a business. Let's support these people. Let's support them.
Let's respect their family. Thank y'all for hanging out tonight. Episode 7, Hustle and Dough. even though we really didn't talk about money, I don't like talking about money like that, but I can talk about how to get money, get your bag.
We need to have a food show, man, so I can talk about some good eats because I'm greedy.
I mean, we should do a food show from a restaurant.
We could do a food.
Yo, you should come down.
Let's review a couple restaurants.
You should come down. We should do a food review. We should review. We should review Mastro's. That means we have to go there. We should review Mastro's. We should review Yardbird.
The Roy's Kitchen, man, the other day.
We can do Roy's. I'm telling you, Roy's is dope. I hear Roy's is dope.
Roy's was dope. Best empanadas you could ever have, and the curry chicken was on point. Yo, man, I'm telling you, it was a truth.
And then watch this. And for all the New Yorkers, I would like to do a review of City Island, so I can tell y'all why City Island is trash. City Island is straight trash. Yo, every time a New Yorker posts City Island, I'm like, yo, City Island is trash. Yo, I don't understand why y'all like it. Yo, y'all got to get out of New York. You got to get out of New York, and you got to get away from City Island because the food there is not good.
Now, there's some good ones on City Island, no lie. But if you go into Johnny's on the end, then you might as well eat at that spot in Malibu that I can't.
No, the Malibu seafood. Yeah, yo, but I found a new spot in Redondo Beach where we always were. Yo, the when I was eating gluten-free, the gluten-free spot we used to go to. The new spot that I found, fresh seafood, is literally right around the corner from there. I didn't realize until I was driving back there from the other night with Jordan.
Yo, I gotta still peep the Slutty Vegan, man. Next time I go to Atlanta, because you told me about that. You put me on that.
Slutty Vegan.
Yeah,
I've eaten there.
He went, man. I ain't been yet, so he was
talking
talking about it, but I couldn't get there when I was in Atlanta last time. So
it's
I'm gonna have to check
good. Hey, I think we should do our first review Friday. Hassel, we'll do our first review Friday morning. We'll figure it out where we're gonna meet at on Friday.
We'll work it out.
We'll do a review on Friday.
Cool. Y'all peep me on that so I can be in. I can watch.
Yeah,
I'm about food.
I'll have you come in.
I don't subscribe to the channel and stuff, so I'm good anyway. So I'll see it. So
Sean, I talk to you every day. It's not like we don't talk every day, so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right, yo, y'all have a good evening.
Let me say this though. I went to Roy's Kitchen on Saturday, but I went with two friends just to sit down and eat, and we sat and we started talking business. One brother who owns his brokerage, another sister who owns a real estate license, and we're all talking about how can we, do some stuff in Charlotte. So, first thing I did is I hit Dante up, yo, man, all of us got to get together, and put something together. And that's what you do. When you get with good people, you enjoy a meal, but you also talk about, well, how can we make this into some kind of business? Because you're doing this and you're doing this and you and then, and they're, even though we're doing different things, they're related all in business. And we were like, how can we put this together? And me and Dante was already talking about something. So get with some good people that and you ain't got to reinvent the wheel.
Network. You're already doing it. Network
over good food.
I can help.
Yeah, you can. Also, real quick,
carry your bags.
Everybody go to Sean Cunningham's Facebook page. Wish him he turned 50 last week. So happy birthday, brother.
Appreciate it, fam.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sean.
More,
appreciate
man.
that,
I'll be 50 next year.
Yeah.
It's good, man. I appreciate you, family. Much love.
All right, y'all. Yo, go like, share on Apple, on Spotify, any place you get your podcast from. Please like, share, and subscribe. We need to get our, everybody's on Facebook watching it and 200-300 people watching it, but I need those likes and shares and subscriptions on Spotify. We need those. All right. Have a good evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, fellas. We'll talk soon. Be well. Peace.
Be well.